let's go ahead and get started here. So, I guess I haven't introduced myself. My name's Cece. Nice to meet you.
G'day, I'm Ricky.
All right,
Been
Ricky.
around for a while.
Yeah, I've definitely heard your name many times before.
Yeah,
Although
been
I
around the
think,
block.
yeah, I noticed you from it wasn't just Ratchet. It was, I guess, Jack as well. Jack and Daxter.
I've done a bit of everything. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mostly started with Jack, but yeah, I eventually went to Ratchet and a bunch of other things. Like if you look at my speedrun.com, it's everything at this point.
Yeah.
There's no really a single genre or console or anything that sort of defines what I play.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, today we're talking about Ratchet and Clank. So, I guess tell me, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you started in like 2016.
So I actually started with Ratchet and Clank in like 2012, believe it or not.
Okay.
One of the founders of the community, Cypress or Sippy,
Mhm.
we were watching the old like SDA run from this must have been RJ Waters at the time, and we were trying to, based off of his, I think it was a new game plus segmented speedrun. We were trying to figure out how to get a proper any percent route in, and at the time, the PS3 version of the game I don't think was out yet, or apparently just came out, and we didn't have like the hardware to record that or anything like that. So we were on PS2 and we are both like just trying to figure out how the game worked and things like that. And I thought the game was just too hard. Like at the time, I thought the game was way too hard and I just couldn't get into Ratchet at all. And what's really funny is back then I picked up the Jack and Daxter games, and slowly but surely the Jack games have gotten more hard to get into as years have gone on, whereas the opposite has happened with Ratchet. So kind of like in 2012, I could not get into it as a new runner. Like just the idea that like you only had like so few weapons and there's just 4 hits to die, and it's just
Mhm.
like yeah, it was hard to get into. So when 2016 rolled around and I'd already been in touch with Ratchet 3, I thought I must have also maybe done 2 at the time. I don't think I've done 2 quite yet. But I did Ratchet 3 and I really enjoyed the movement in that game, so I gave Ratchet 1 a shot basically.
Okay. Yeah, somebody told me that I think it was Slaughter who told me that at HDQ someone showed you how to do infinite long jumps, and then from there it was just like you were gone. You were gone for the races.
Yeah, I think I tried a little bit to do infinite long jumps, just because like I had like kind of a feel for it, I
Mhm.
guess. And yeah, then I just kind of went into it. I don't exactly think that might have been how I got into it, but I also think I was just interested because of some older runners and people in the community, and just I've been following the scene for way before I even started running.
I gotcha. Okay. Did you follow along with like other runners? Like, did you watch Ticeman or anybody like that?
So I watched Ticeman's run when it kind of came out, and I didn't really think much of it, but I know a lot of other people thought it was really like I guess it's just because I didn't really understand what was going on a lot of the time because I didn't really remember Ratchet 1 as well as I remember the other 2 games.
Mhm.
But the run that really captured me, that made me like think that this was a really sick run, was Nuka Duka's 3028. This run stood for like a really long time, and to me was like the defining moment where like I went, wow, this game is actually getting super optimized and like the movement's getting to like a whole nother level. And this was at the time when he got this time, sub 30 wasn't even doable. So like he got within like a 30-second time span of like perfection essentially. So I watched that run and that really inspired me for sure. Like I watched that run so many times. It was just a really sick run.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Strat archive, and I don't really understand why, but it goes from like 2955, then 3011, then 3028, and then back down to 2939. So I guess
Uh, do
either runs were so
hold on.
important that they were put in the list. But
Was this maybe? So I think this may have been. Let's see. Was this? Yeah. So this is because at the time PS3 was starting to be included. Like there were
Mhm.
so few runners that, and there was no leaderboard at the time, like proper leaderboard, where people didn't really know whether or not they should split the boards or if they should keep running on PS2 or if they're running on PS3. And I think Vortex and Slaughter at the time were running on PS3, whereas Nuka, who, no offense to the other runners, was miles ahead of everyone else.
Hmm.
And his time without the load, like if he was playing on PS3, that 30:28 would have been world record by well over 3 minutes, I think.
Okay. I see the equal to 26 on PS3.
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay, I get it. So, I guess was it load times? Is that what separates the two, or?
Yeah, it's mostly load times, and also it's PDA load times is a huge factor. So every time you open the Gadgetron PDA, you can see that the game like sort of freezes for a very long time on PS2,
Mhm.
but that time is like instant on PS3. Like you can literally open it and then you can close it immediately. Like it's meant to be this item where you like buy ammunition like at anywhere in the game
Yeah.
basically for like a
Yeah.
higher price. But yeah, you can just do that and it like loads immediately. So
Okay. I guess that explains it. So, okay, so Nuka was just miles ahead.
yeah, Nuka was super good.
Okay. Where were we when talking about this? So you were following along. Okay, okay. And then so yeah, I guess you started picking up. You got world record in January 2016. When did you first start like actually sitting down and like grinding out runs?
So I actually remember getting the record. It wasn't actually too difficult to get the record the first time. And this isn't like any sort of like bragging thing here. This is just like I looked at Nuka's run and I try to copy everything that he'd done. And you can tell, and like since Nuka's run, there was kind of like a gap in like we're trying to get 26 kind of thing because Nuka's run added up to 26 at the time. So
Mhm.
I was essentially just trying to close a gap, trying to replicate what he did on PS2, try to get that with the current PS3 loads.
Mhm.
So Raikaru was mainly an any percent runner. Uh, so the few records he got wasn't really his main category at all, and Vortex wasn't really grinding like super hard, essentially. So when I started getting into it, I was trying to just replicate what Nuka had gotten at first, and I just started getting like better and better and better at like chaining the movement together, and I started understanding the movement more as I explored how everything chained together so smoothly and easily, and ooh, like it was so good. And I just yeah, like I just got better and better and I ended up taking the record. Probably I think within my first 2 weeks I got the record and then I just kept going because I was just not done there.
Mhm. Okay. Um, Slaughter kind of comes back in at some point. Um, could you tell me more about Slaughter?
Yeah, Slaughter super strange guy honestly. Like I can't really it's really hard to put him into words exactly like what describes him because it's you meet some people in your life that you feel like are very predictable and you feel like you know what they're going to say and you feel like you know what their responses are. This guy will say something new every day to you. You can't really predict any sort of answer from this guy.
Okay.
His settlement in Rack 1 is pretty important because he did discover a number of really good things. He's also the first to get sub 30. Um and his movement was still like really good. It's just that I think his motivation peak wasn't like quite on the level of some other people. So like he was really good, but if he had the motivation that most of the other top players had, like Nuka back in the day, and me, and Scaff, and then Franzcore now,
Mhm.
he would probably still be a really good runner for sure. But I think he more or less, like, don't quote me on this, but I feel like he probably enjoys the idea of exploring the movement options more and just trying to find tricks with the movement and just messing around overall with
Mhm.
the games for sure.
I gotcha. Yeah, I was talking to him. I actually already interviewed him yesterday. And he was telling me that he kind of views this era, like this 2015, 2016, or 2014-ish era, like this sort of time in history as the freestyle era of like a lot of it is like just movement is so sick and so much fun to like just get from point A to point B that it's not necessarily about being like optimal. Like not every move is calculated. It's sort of like, hey, let's just kind of come up with movement on the fly.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember doing that. Like the first time I sort of realized that we were kind of in this like sort of free flow era, sorry, was when we kind of discovered that like I was messing up my movement on Battaglia, for example. I was doing the super long chain and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, my speed isn't dead. I can still do something. Like I still have speed going, even though I like, I may have done a long jump when I meant to do a side flip or something, but like
Mhm.
I can always open the PDA again and like respace something, and the run would still be alive and it would barely lose any time. And that's like one of the things I thought was really cool about this era was we were just trying to see how many times could we like, open the PDA without losing too much time. Like what's like the correct spacing of this, and like we really didn't think too much because like there were way bigger time saves for us rather than stuff like battalion movement and umbrus movement and just Kerwan long jumps and just things like that. Most of the movement planets weren't really the big time saves quite yet. I would say it's more like cleaning up deaths and stuff.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah, you're
definitely
not
agree with
getting into the
Slaughter.
nitty-gritty. Yeah.
I agree with Slaughter. This is definitely the free flow era.
When do you think that era sort of transitioned into more of an optimized, clean
Um,
cut?
uh, Essentially when Slaughter, I competed with Slaughter a little bit in 2016. We lowered like around from 27 to 26. This is where like we basically, again, like this is where we wanted the run to stand. I think I remember Slaughter getting 26 25 and I got 26 22, and we both thought like, wow, our runs are getting really really good. Like these runs are the top 2 runs for
Mhm.
sure. Like absolutely, like these were really great runs. But this is when like the Walloper came in, and when the Walloper came in, like there was so much untapped potential, and I think Slaughter kind of fell off the map and didn't really feel like I think he he felt like he achieved his goal, which to be fair, his run was really really great.
Mhm.
Um, I just felt like there was more to be done, and I wanted to explore the Walloper, which Maxis had found, and so I just pushed the game into like the 25 stage and the 24 stage, and basically the beginning of every movement chain was now, with the Walloper,
Right.
and I thought that was really cool because you could start at full speed for almost any chain, which meant that whenever you were at top speed the whole time, your spacing and your movement was a bit more calculated, and so I ended up doing a lot of the same spacing. Whereas when I was around 26, 27 minutes ish, it was more free flow. So
Right.
when I started pushing all the way down to 24, and when I got to 23, 43, this is when I was like, that's it. This is where it's going to stand for now.
Okay. So you think the Wall Pro was kind of one of the things that kind of sealed the end for that? Mainly because I think what you're saying is that when you have the Wall Pro, you're going top speed. So it's no longer about building speed and maintaining speed. You already have top speed. And you just need to
Yeah.
maintain it. And then it's just like, okay, what's the calculated, jump here, long jump here, side flip here,
hmm
lag flip, long jump, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not at top speed already with the Walloper, like you can mistime some of your lag jumps and some of your midair jumps, midair long jumps, and you'll like if you mistime them, you might gain less speed than before. So your spacing is going to be off. So I think in the older era, there was like probably I would have like 3 different strats for Battalion if my speed was better or if my speed was lower. Whereas now it's basically just about executing the one right thing.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So I think this is around the time when direct skip is found.
Yeah, this is around the time when Drexskip was found. This was another thing I believe that was theorized by Maxis,
Mm-hmm.
where he basically noticed that you could skip the entire level by flying over. Uh, you know, Basically every map has like a death plane or like a death wall essentially, but you could gain a tremendous amount of height in Ratchet One by using something called ground pound ILMs. And whenever you gain all this height, you can get all the way above to where the game would normally kill you, and you can go above that. And so there's a known glitch on the final boss Drek where if you defeat Drek and you don't like press the button which ends the game, and you just kind of fool around or start a new run, or basically the PS3 has globally saved that you have beaten the final boss. So he will not spawn if you, or like the destroyer, the deplanetizer thing that's in the middle of the arena, that will always be there. That's always stored. So when I did this skip, when I went over the mountain, I was like, oh my god, like where's Drek? Like he's not spawning. Like he's nowhere to be seen.
Mhm.
So like my mouth is just completely open, and I was actually featured. I remember in a big Easyscape video at the time. It had
I think I saw
like
that one.
millions of views as well, just because like this skip was like pretty monumental, which saved about 30 seconds in NG plus, so you would no longer have to fight the final boss, which is pretty good in the sense that the final boss could potentially give you some bad luck. Although if you played really well, the luck wouldn't really like add up to too much, but
Mhm.
it could still, if you're nervous, you could still mess up on the boss and whatnot. But yeah, just overall, this skip was like a pretty huge like deal at the time for sure.
I believe it. But that also means that instead of doing like the cool movement and the slope intercept jumps and that kind of stuff around the mountains, like you have to do infinite jumps around the other side, right? Because you can't activate his flag at like the Clank fight section, right?
Um,
Because how does it work? So I'm
there's like
under the impression.
there's like several routes, and I'll just like explain this to you just so you like get it. And I guess
Uh-huh.
this won't like go in.
Yeah,
uh,
that's fine. We can cut it out. It's whatever.
yeah. So the first route was like you went around the normal way.
Hmm.
Like this is like the Velden SI way, which is like the super old way. And then you'd like go through the level and then like do an infinite long jump to the boss arena. And then you would go through the boss and do it normally. And that would waste about 30 seconds. Then came the route where you went all the way above, which is the one I just explained,
Right.
and you skipped rec completely, save 30 seconds. And then now there's like the new way, which I haven't even gone into, which is the uh like long jump SI way, which is like where you build up a bunch of speed and you get a
Right.
crouching animation on the mountain, and then you like get to the boss platform immediately and you skip going all the way above. So like you're getting to the last boss arena even quicker. Saves
Okay.
another 20 seconds.
All right. Does Franz use that?
Yes, I
Okay.
actually use that on my like latest runs as well, because
Okay.
like I'm also at like down at the 2018 kind of era
Hmm.
as well.
Okay. I'll watch those again because I know I've seen them and I have a vague memory of the jumps and stuff, but I'll have to watch it again
Mm-hmm.
so I can
For
refresh
sure.
myself. Okay. Um, let's see here. Let's see. You stopped running in the end of April. Is there anything in particular that was going on that you like? You're happy with it and you moved on, or
I think at the time my goal was 23. Like a lot of the time for me personally, I don't really feel like there's a time that's like, I want to get this time and then I'm quitting and then this and that. It's usually like a gut feeling kind of thing. Like,
Mhm.
for this run, I felt like I'd grinded my way all the way from when I picked up the game at 28:05, which was my first record, and then I had achieved like roughly, eight, 9 records since, and gotten all the way down to 23, which was pretty monumental. When like I just felt pretty, it just felt kind of good that felt in a way that I solo routed the Walloper alone in an era where I don't feel like anyone else was really trying to push the Walloper into the route.
Mhm.
There was just a lot of untapped potential, and I just managed to to push it out all the way down to 23, 43, and that's just the time with that route. I was like, okay, that seems good to me. Like that seems like we're all I can do for now.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. So then you kind of took a break here.
Hmm.
So then Zim comes in. I think Zim was on his tear to get like a world record in every category or something.
Yeah, for sure.
What
Yeah,
was his
Zem.
deal? It was a world record in every game.
Yeah, Zem was kind of going. This it was called like the Bot Project, and I remember when this came out, I was definitely one of the people that was a little skeptical on it, I guess. I think he knows this too, but it's fine. He wanted a set of records in a numerous amount of games, and I think one of them ended up being Rack 1 NG Plus. And I don't really blame him, because at the time I knew Zem was really good at Rack 1 NG Plus, and also I was just done. Like I went on to run other things. I don't remember what I ran exactly in 2016 after I went, from Rack,
Mhm. Right.
but there was untapped potential. And so he went in, and his goal was just to get as many of these records as possible, and he ended up just quitting after beating me after 1 second, because I mean that was the goal to begin with.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just ended up getting it real quick, I guess. Just this little moment of glory, because that's the only time Zem has actually had the record, which is, I think, is kind of cool actually. So that means Zem has had the record in every Rack NG Plus trilogy game. So that's his like little moment of glory. Is
It's his
that
claim to fame.
2342? Yeah, claim to fame.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? When I was talking to Zem at SGQ, we were talking about which category we should cover, because I wanted to do Ratchet and Clank, but I didn't really know which one.
Mhm.
I hate to admit it, but I actually never owned a PlayStation. So I played
That's all
all of
good.
the Ratchet games, but I never owned any of them. I never like really sat down and played them. So
Yeah, it's all good. Everyone's
yeah,
gonna miss something. I mean, I never played like OT, for example, or Majora's Mask.
there you go. Where was I going with this? So yeah, so I was like, I don't know which one of these games is like the best for a video, but NG Plus is the most popular. But it was between that and Up Your Arsenal.
Mhm.
And Zen was like, yeah, I have had the record like the entire time for Up Your Arsenal. So, or was it Arsenal, or was it? I think that's the
Yeah,
third one, right?
yeah. Up Your Arsenal is number 3, and Zem has basically like had the record since 2014, I think. So
Yeah. And so he
it
was like, it
wouldn't
might
it
be kind of
wouldn't
boring.
yeah, it wouldn't make for the best video, I suppose. Ratchet 2 NG Plus would also be quite excellent, I think.
That was the third on the list.
Yeah.
I think we decided on Rack 1 just because it was the most diverse, probably the
Yeah.
most interesting.
It's also the one where like the most grandfather people of the community have kind of started. Like a lot of the people that I know aren't really in the community anymore, but I still talk to every now and then. They
Mhm.
all originated, they all started running. They was all Rack 1 NG Plus, and I understand why they chose this, because when I started playing it, like it definitely just felt like right in a way. There's so much like flow to this uh, category and this game overall. So I don't really blame 'em for sure.
It's good. It's good. Okay. So then let's see here. Can you tell me anything about Scaff?
Ooh, Scaff. Yeah, Scaff is Scaff's interesting. Scaff's actually kind of disappeared after his little reign. But Scaff definitely watched my video, my 2343. He he was a big fan. I'm not gonna hide this in any which way. He
Mhm.
was definitely a fan of me. And I knew this because he could recite the speech of the ending of my 2343.
Wow.
And in a way, I'm honored. It's interesting that a run like that or like a speech like that could mean so much to him. But uh, he was inspired to do runs of his own, and he was definitely a skilled runner for sure.
Mhm.
So yet again, Scaff kind of came in, um, which is kind of interesting because I want to look at these 3 records. 2343 by me. I did not use Cineflips because they weren't really discovered yet. And
Mhm.
when Zem got the 1 second world record, he did use Cineflips, so he saved about maybe 10, 12 seconds on me or so. And then when Scaff got 2341, which is, and again, another 1 second world record, he went back to not using it. So it's just kind of like a fun, people, Scaff is also trying to figure out the game for himself and things like that.
Mhm.
And I think he was really happy when he got the world record the first time. But he was just like a really young, goofy guy, like kind of really strange. Like he was, uh, I think he was just trying to find his identity and his place in the community for a while. And I think people really like that quirky fact about Scaff at the time for sure.
There you go.
Uh, yeah, that's most of. I guess I can talk a little bit about his like domination, I suppose.
Yeah. I was gonna say that I was talking to Slaughter. He said that Scaff was like, when he watched Scaff play, it reminded him of Ticeman. It was like the only time that he's ever felt like awestruck at like watching a runner, because he saw that Scaff was just pushing it so hard. He was like taking it and running with it.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
guess talk to me about his domination. Like, because I see he dominated all of 2017. It looks like, except for the very last day. But
I'm gonna have to brush up because like I really don't remember much of the new strats that came out between. Um, I'm just gonna have to like really skim through his 2021-27. I specifically remember
okay, if you
because
want
like
to take a second.
yeah, he used Cineflips and like he just refined the movement a lot better. Did he use Mountain Clip? Let's see. Yeah, he did. Wow, that's pretty cool. I don't think I think I was back at this point. Yeah, I think I actually was back at this point. Um, yeah, I must have been, because yeah, okay. Okay, I think I'm good. So
Okay.
so Scaff, in terms of gameplay wise, like he definitely also was one of the people that saw potential, untapped potential with the game. He saw some new strats that weren't being utilized by older people, and he went ahead and just used them to save a lot of time. And he also optimized a lot of new movement. Scaff was really one of the uh like I kind of pushed the Walloper forward into the route and like this is how you do spacing, but I feel like Scaff really cemented like this is really how you move and preserve your speed through everything, like completely for sure. And that was really one of the key things about Scaff that was really good. Which was a kind of a shame as well. I remember his 2127. I basically got a Ratchet 1 NG Plus into GDQ around October of
Mhm.
2017, and he would only get I think two or three more records in the time that I came back, and he was I think he must have been really excited at the time that I was coming back because he wanted to compete with me because he looked up to my old run so much. But I think he just kind of got really burnt out of nowhere and just kind of vanished off the face of the earth. And we never really got to compete. So when I got back to grinding really hard and I got the record back, I had no competition. So we were back to basically just trading blows like that. It was just one person reigning for a while, and then it's just back to another person reigning for a while. So yeah, that's basically most of Scaff. He's just a came in during a weird era and just dominated while nobody else was taking advantage of the time, and then just vanished really.
Damn. That's just how it goes sometimes, you know.
Hmm.
But what am I trying to say? I don't know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, that just sucks. That sucks. I don't know. It's like two ships passing in the night. You know, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
if only, if only. But
Am I keeping things a bit too long, by the way? Just a
no,
bit?
no, by all means,
Okay, that's all good.
chat it up, dude. Like, here's the thing: is that so the way that this works is that I'll edit the interview a little bit, but it's mostly going to be in its entirety, and
Mhm.
then I'll have that and I'll upload that separately after the video comes out. But I just like take quotes, like there's probably some good sound bites in that little thing about Scaff that I'll probably cut out some of that and then I'll put that
Mhm.
in the video, and then
Yeah.
we'll just keep going. So I mean, the more you talk, the better. Honestly, I got
Same.
all day. So I mean, you're the one
Yeah,
that's
same
got to
here.
go
I've
somewhere.
I've got an hour.
Yeah. So it's
I'm
like,
I'm all
listen,
good.
we've got plenty of time to chat. So by all means. Um, let's see here. So Scaff, and then so you got it back into HGQ 2017, I believe, or was it 18? No, it's 18 by now. Yeah.
18. Yeah. So
Okay.
I got back. Really, the big reason was this was so funny too because I remember submitting like 4 or 5 games to GDQ this year, 2018, and
Hmm.
I just did not like. I had not played Rack One NG Plus for like a year and a half or something like that, and I just submitted it as like my fifth game. I'm like, yeah, I've got the slot. You can submit 5 games, and none of my games got in, but Rack One. No, actually, I got another one, but the one that was least expected was Rack One NG Plus got in. I'm like, all right, I guess I got to go back to the grind. And I basically just went ham, like completely. The hardest thing for me, for sure, was the fact that my hand coordination was really sketchy with Cineflips. Everyone else was a lot better than me at Cineflips, and I had a really, really hard time trying to get this trick down. And I was, blaming it on a lot of external factors. And I was like, if your fingers aren't like, built for this thing, like you can't really get this trick. But after I think I timed it to roughly 40 hours of just grinding away at this one trick, not getting it once, but getting it consistently. This must have been like 40, 50 hours. I finally like was able to consistently get it, and I felt comfortable doing it in runs, which might not be a lot for some, but at the time I'd never really like slammed my head against a wall for basically 40 hours.
Goodness.
And I ended up tying the world record 21-27 on New Year's of 2017. But I remember not being happy going to GDQ. I was leaving in a few days, and I really wanted just something a bit better than that. And I ended up squeezing out another PB on the very same day, 2116. So I basically went to GDQ, like barely clutching out the record,
Mhm.
untying it instead of having a tied record, and just going to GDQ at that time.
That's good. Do you think so how many times has Ratchet shown up at GDQ? There's the Cynex run, and then
Oh, Ratchet
there's
One.
yeah.
So
Then
there's Zem's All Go Bolts run at an SGDQ.
okay.
But just is this just GDQs or just marathon runs?
I'll take any marathon run.
Okay, so I know ESA. As for ESAs, there was ESA 2016. I had a Rack 1 NG Plus. This is when I ran in like the 2026 era kind of thing, I would want to call it, when I had 26.
Mhm.
There was a All Go Bolts run by Janky last year at ESA, I think. At GDQ, there was Zem's All Go Bolts run at an SGDQ. Must have been 2017 or something like that. Raikaru had an 80% run in 2016 or something, 2017 maybe. And then then I had Rack 1 NG Plus at 2018, and then we had the old school Synox run in 2013 as well.
Mhm.
So that's just Rack 1 alone has had a few showings for sure.
Okay. I'll look up some of the ESA and the GDQ runs because
Mhm.
I know that trying to think. I watched the Cynex run. I haven't looked at any of the ESA runs, and I know that they've that Zem got it in. I know that you got it into GDQ.
Mhm.
So, but I'll double check. I wonder if I watched that run at the time. I feel like I did because I was at GDQ 2018. I
Yeah,
probably watched the
the
run.
Olga Bolts run is really good for sure. I'm a big fan of it.
I was talking about your run, but yeah.
Oh, my run, yeah. It was also one of the first runs of the marathon. So I was pretty ready
We'll
when it
see.
came in, I guess.
I'll have to watch it again. Maybe I'll remember it.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's see here. But you weren't satisfied. You kept going.
Yeah.
Oh,
When
what's his
I
name? What's his name? Izaki? Yeah. Izaki was telling me
Izaki.
about the solid state drive story.
Oh, SSD. Yeah, SSD. Wow. I don't really I guess trying to think of where to start with this. So the way SSD was introduced was I was trying to branch out as well in not only running NG Plus. And I remember the very moment I realized that we should use SSDs was when I was doing PDA side flips, like, all the way over the death plane on Velden 2, and I was trying to get to the final boss area. So in All Go Bolts, you would have to go really high up and do like a million infinite jumps to the end boss arena. And if you have a slow um, hard drive on your PS3 instead of a solid state drive, your PDA can randomly lag and you can drop like inputs and things like that.
Hmm.
If your reaction time is good, you can save it. But basically, I just lost a whole I lost a shitload of time from just uh, you know just like the PDA lagging on me, and I lost well over 10, 15 seconds just being in the air, suspended, like lagging, like losing maybe zero point 0.3, zero point 0.5 on every open, and it was just like really annoying. So I tried to instate it into the community, saying that it would be fair for everyone if everyone had it, because I noticed in some older records as well, in Zem's 2342, I think he would have beaten me by more if he had a solid state drive as well, or a better hard drive, because I noticed on a lot of his PDA opens, the PDA would lag a lot. So this wasn't just an issue for me, for sure.
Hmm.
So we basically just like made a poll, and like I wrote down like the positives and the negatives, and it just turned out that most people wanted SSD to be instated. And then there was of course a few people that like said that, oh, the game doesn't need it yet or anything like that. But it's like it's better to just incorporate it now, and we won't ever have to worry about it later. And honestly, it's not that expensive. Like you can get a cheap one for like $25, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's nothing.
30 with shipping, so it's not a huge deal.
That's good. Yeah,
It
because the
only
idea
ended
of
up
like pay to win kind of
Yeah.
turns people away.
Yeah, exactly. Like people initially thought it was pay to win, but it's actually more like just pay to be equal with everyone, I think.
Hmm.
Cuz there was like with the old hard drives, like you would have to do like reformatting all the time, and then it would be good, and sometimes it didn't even work. And yeah, I don't know. I as soon as I saw mine was like lagging out really hard, I just started pushing for it. And it only pushed the actual like time in NG plus by maybe like 7-10 seconds. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a lot because the game's not that long, but it's not
Mhm.
like a massive like advantage over
Yeah, it's not
anyone
like
else.
3 minutes or whatever.
Yeah,
It's like, oh
exactly.
hey, we saved 10 extra 15 seconds or something like that.
Hmm.
Okay.
Um,
Let's see here.
I guess I should probably go into the reign of this part right here.
Oh
Maybe.
yeah, the one where
Unless,
you the
yeah,
whole 2018 where you literally get all these records here.
yeah.
So what
Um,
happens between, you get the solid state drive thing, but then all of a sudden you get sub 21. Was that a big one?
Sub 21. Yeah, I think I don't remember it too well, but it must have been a big deal at the time. Um, I think when I got sub 20, I think I just remember getting the time, and I remember there still being more to push out, and I still remember like I can still get lower than this. Like
Mhm.
when I got 21-16, I remember my early game wasn't that good in that run, and when I got home like after GDQ, I already started playing and stuff like that. And so when I got the sub 21, I knew like lower was possible, and I just kept pushing for low and lower. And I think one of the runs that really like cemented me to really want to like that really like in my head basically like I was like the first run that I was like super happy with was the 2042. When I got 2042, I didn't get another PB for like well over a month, I think.
Mhm.
And my sum of best at the time was like 20 flat or 2001 or something like that. And so I basically just like looked everywhere in the game and I made this big video. I was like, I'm going to go for sub 20. I know it sounds insane. I know it sounds impossible. I'm going to try. And so I just said, every day in April, I'm going to try. Like, I'm just going to get this. Like, I'm going to try streaming every day in April, just lowering it. And I would only see two improvements, which already were pretty big, which was 2032 and 2027. And 2027 was another big one for me. That was like, great run, great everything, great execution. And then the two new strats basically came out in uh like around when I was doing this month.
Mhm.
So again, I needed more time. I had an idea that sub 20 wasn't really, feasible with just perfect movement and just the current strats we know now. I needed a few extra like 5 seconds here, 2 seconds here, 2 seconds here. So Fast Fleet came out, which was a thing I actually found on accident. Uh I basically just thought in my head like really simple like, man, Drex Fleet is hella slow, super slow.
Right.
There's got to be something better here. So I like start looking for new things in this area, and I eventually come up with this chain that just shoots you across, the entire space area and just skips the whole infinite jump segment, which not only saved like what 14 like 12 seconds. It's been a while, but it saved well over 10 seconds. And not only that, but it was way cooler.
Right.
And so I was like, wow, I eliminated one of the lame planets in the run. And I was like, I could probably squeeze out sub 20 with this. You know,
Mhm.
like 2 or 3 days later, we get another skip. Fast Velden, we now know saved 20 seconds. At the time it was like 15. But you could now skip the long infinite jump or like the PDA side flips at the start of Velden, infinite jumping all the way over and skipping the boss. You could now do a cool chain to skip to the boss arena and then clip through the mountain and get to the button, which now I was cemented like I'm getting sub 20. Like this is absolutely happening.
Mhm.
Like, we got 15 seconds here, 10 seconds here. That's 25 seconds. My current PB is like 2007 or whatever it is, or 2027. And I still had time to save there. And these new strats are probably not 25. They might be more than that. So I was like, I'm determined. I can get this time. So I get a run with Fast Fleet. I clutch it. I don't quite save all the time. 2023. I get a
Right.
run with Fast Velden as well. 2016. And then finally everything kind of came together and I got 1959. And that's like one of the best accomplishments I've done in all of speedrunning. And that's saying a lot because I've been around for a while.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't think the time necessarily is like very good. Like the run wasn't like super good. Like the ending, the strats were still new, and I still wasn't very used to these two new strats. But just the monument, like the fact that my timer just said like 19 is just. I'm not used to the end time just starting with 1-9. I'm usually used to seeing that 2-0. So it was just like a crazy time, and everyone was in it for the ride. And me making these videos and hyping up sub 20 and things like that, like really helped cement this as like one of the greatest moments for this game, for
Hell
sure.
yeah, dude. I think Azaki pointed me to two, like, is sub 20 possible? And then there's one thing that says sub 20 is possible,
Hmm.
right?
Like I made a video at first that was is like I made a video pointing out how sub 20 was like barely not out of like it was barely out of reach, but I'm
Mhm.
gonna try anyway. And then I made a video after the two skips came out saying that it was like well possible. Like I called it free for me, basically.
Yeah.
Video is literally called sub 20 is free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, which is probably shouldn't have called it that because that was just for me, but
Mhm.
like with my skill at the game at the time, it was something I could easily achieve in comparison. Um, but again, just because I got sub 20, I didn't quite feel done because there was still new time to squeeze out with these new strats. And so, unfortunately, I ended up getting really burnt out after getting sub 20 for the first time, and I only squeezed out two more PBs. And I ended up on 1943 and 1934. And 1934 is still like, I think that still is my best Rec 1 run to date, like out of all of them. Yeah, it's the fastest, but also like in terms of the sum of best, I think this run was maybe 40 seconds off sum of best. And in a game where you have seemingly a bit random load times, like you can get some long loads that can lose you zero point 0.8 on every load, uh, which maybe adds up to like 6, 7, 8 seconds on
Mhm.
average. That's arguably 33 or 32 seconds off my sum of best in that kind of game, which is like ridiculous. Uh, so that's easily my best quality run in
Yeah.
comparison to the route and in comparison to the sum of best, in comparison to the knowledge we knew at the time. That's really good. Obviously, I knew more could be saved because I still made a mistake on Gemlik, and I still think I made a mistake on Pokitaru, but I was just really happy with this time for sure. Like it's top 5 best speedruns I've done for sure.
Absolutely. I think I can't remember if it was the 1934 or the 1985, or no, sorry, 1995, 1958. Where I think whenever you get it, I think I see Franz in the chat. I know I forget which one it was. I definitely saw Franz in the chat saying like "Yo, GG,"
Mhm.
and I think that was a really interesting thing to point out because it wouldn't be too much longer after you said you got burnt out that Franz core shows up, and then he is the one who carries the torch a little further. Can
Yeah.
you tell me about Franz, maybe?
Yeah, I'm really just like I'm really proud of Franz, honestly. Like I have no other like way to describe like his progression because Franz started out as a pretty average runner. I think when I had like around 21, 20-ish, I remember him having like 27-minute times, 28-minute times, something like that. And he was just kind of slowly improving his way. Like I didn't really think much of him at first. Um, just kind of slowly moving along, and he was just kind of being like your usual chatter, just posting memes and posting jokes and stuff like that. And he
Mhm.
was just a really nice community member. He wasn't really starting any drama. He's just really nice to everybody. Um, and then when I started, I think when he got his first 21, this must have been when I was in the mid 20s, I think. This is the first time when anybody was like a minute and a half off of me, and I was like, "Wow, this is pretty big." France Corps second place. This is like not something I ever expected, and he just kind of kept improving, and he got really close to me, and he was like so close for like the longest time to beating me. I'll tell you right now, he beat me half a year later. I got 1934 in April of
Mhm.
2018, and he got which would eventually be the new record, 1928, on November 3rd. That could have come way earlier. That could have come literally 3 months earlier, but he could not keep it together. Uh, he was just not experienced enough at the time to just like keep the nerves together to clutch that run. And I think the moment because like if you compare our attempts, Franz at the time of getting 1928 was like his attempt counter was somewhere in the 1500s or 15,000, sorry, 15,000 runs.
1,000. Holy
And
shit.
and when I got 1934, I had like, single digit attempts below 10,000, which means that he spent like, a numerous more amount of time on the game than I ever did, attempting to improve. And he was persistent and he just kept going. And like when he finally, I think he wrote to me that he was like just so happy that I watched the run and I congratulated him. And he wrote somewhere, must have been on the speedrun.com comment, that he cried when he got the run. And I was just really, really like happy for him. Like I honestly have just never been happier to have one of my greatest runs go down like that, because it just went down raw. Just it didn't go down to a new strat. It didn't go down to anything really like there. Yeah, like there was a new Core 2 strat that came out, I think, but really in reality it saved like 2-3 seconds. It's not really anything major that gained him the huge advantage, because if you look at the time difference, he beat me by 6 seconds. So even without it, he beat me, fair and square. So it's just, to me, that he beat my run that I worked so hard for, and he worked even harder, is just like I'm astonished to the patience he had to go through with that, and I'm just really proud that he managed to get it. And when I watched the run, though, I still saw that there was a little bit of time that could have come off, just like my 1934. Both of the runs weren't perfect, but definitely very optimal and very optimized. But he would eventually move on to get the current world record, 1918. And I definitely think that is a fucking run. Sorry for dropping the F bomb, but that's
okay.
a run.
I
That's a run right there. Oh yeah. That's a run. Like 1918, I watched that run and it's solid. It's such a solid run. And I really don't think anyone's gonna challenge that unless, I end up going back, or Scaff manages to come back randomly, or Zem wants to grind for, hundreds and thousands of hours, or Isaki comes up out of nowhere or anything like that, but or if he wants to beat it himself. But that's just like a really strong record. I'm just really happy that he owns it, just because he earned it for sure. He worked hard. He came from the ground up. I know the story all too well. I remember in my early days of speedrunning, I don't feel like I was, very good, and I started like really kind of amateurish, but with hard work and just dedication, you work your way up and you just do your best. And that's what Franz did. He topped me, he topped everyone. He just became the best. And I still think to this day he's the best active player, like by far.
Hell yeah. What was I gonna say? I've heard that Franz is trying to go for an 18.
Has he said that?
Oh no, sorry. Azaki told me that. So maybe I misunderstood. But,
no, I would believe it because they speak a lot. Yeah, I definitely do think 18 is doable. I think Izaki being a top runner now has also kind of opened his eyes to. So Izaki was known as a strat hunter more or less early on, but I remember he said he listened to me like speak on stream about. I must have said something like that woke him up on like one night. He said like, you know what? I guess I'm tired of just being like that guy that just finds tricks and stuff like that. Like I want to be both. And so Izaki jumped his way into top 3 territory, getting a 2011, which is also a really fantastic time, by the way. So yeah, him being a top runner has maybe gained him new vision, sort of, for innovating new strats and how to do the movement. Because before, I think he would think on a way bigger scale, whereas now that he's the one that has to incorporate the grand movement that he has to do for his runs, I think he's thinking more in frame of how do I improve the movement of this route, which is really what it's about for NG Plus. So
right.
It wouldn't surprise me if those two, form together like Voltron and trying to get 18 together in a way, with Franz's execution and Isaki as the brain. I don't doubt that they could do almost anything.
Yeah. Speaking of Voltron, he showed me the community segmented run.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a Frankenstein of all the best runners.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
So I think the segmented run is like an 1812 or something like that.
Yeah, 1812.
So what's the minute and 6 second difference? Is it just a
So
little bit here and there, or go ahead?
I will say the 6 seconds could arguably come from 6 to 8, whatever, could come from the best loads. We like at least 6 or 8 of those seconds are from best loads, which you're not going to get.
Mhm.
So it's roughly a minute better than the current record. And a lot of it is just all of these planets are just done to a complete like T. Like there's I believe 18 planets in the game, and a lot of them have strategies that aren't really all that like viable for runs. I remember one of the really big ones is on Kerwan near the start. There's a walloper that you can do, and when you side flip it with the walloper, you can hyper strike over to the next platform. Whereas in runs, we would usually just pull out the PDA because you
Right.
could barely not make it. But if you really grind out these ILs, like you can make it, and that'll save like 2 seconds. And on my Umbrus segment, I grinded out on that one night that I had to grind for the segmented run. I basically grabbed the info bot in like the most insane way possible. I barely scraped by it and just like kept the speed and died like over the abyss essentially. So a lot of it is just shaving off like 2 seconds here, 2 seconds there. The chains and the speed is just like unnaturally like fast. The Hoven ship fight is really, really fast. And it's just overall like perfect menuing, and just lots of different segments have added up to this being the time that it is for sure.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll see some YOLO strats or something come out. You know.
Yeah, for sure. There might be some things from the segmented run that you could incorporate into RTA, but I actually think a lot of it is just the stuff we do in RTA is just like perfected in this run, like completely.
In the 1918.
In the 1812,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
yeah, which is like which goes to show that this game still like there isn't really a hard cap. I feel like I still feel like there might be a cap, but I think it's still like possible that all of us top runners have not reached this skill cap that the game has to offer. Because if we can segment together a run that's over a minute faster, like there's more to come off. I think
Yeah,
18 is definitely doable, and I honestly just wish the best of luck to Franz. I think he's definitely gonna get it if he keeps it up.
absolutely. If not Franz, maybe Asaki. Maybe
Yeah.
you.
For,
Maybe, no, I don't know. I don't know. You said you're burnt out, right?
um, for me, I think derusting the whole thing. It's not a long game, but it's a game where it's a very technical game. It's a very hard game to play at a high level.
Right.
So in order to keep up that consistency, that skill level, I would have to play a lot, and I'd have to play like every day just in order to save. For some reason, it just feels silly in my head to play for hours, for like probably derust for like 2 to 3 weeks and maybe a month just to save like 20 seconds, 15 seconds, something like that, to get the record back. It just doesn't
Mhm.
seem like a lot at this point, but who knows? Maybe I'll try one day.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
Yeah.
All right. I think that pretty much covers everything. Is there
Yeah,
anything that I didn't cover that you think I should, or?
Um, I didn't get to. I guess I didn't get to comment too much on because I said I'd been following the community for a while.
Right.
Um, I guess I should talk about that. I was actually still good friends with Cypress and Nuka at the time, like early on and stuff like that. So I'll just
Okay.
go into that now. Let me
Okay.
take a sip of water.
Yeah, go for it, man. I will also sip water.
There we go. Okay.
Stay hydrated.
For real. Yeah. So like I said, most of the game early on for me was just like too hard to handle and too hard to learn. So I went to Jack, but this still meant that I kept close relative with the Ratchet community, specifically Cypress, because we used to race on speedruns live all the time. It didn't always have to be Ratchet or Jack or whatever we were come up. It'd be just about anything PlayStation really. And I would kind of sort of get introduced to Nuka and Slaughter through Cypress, and like back then, I would kind of follow the history of Rec 1 NG Plus, but I would definitely fall out of the frame because a lot of the time they wouldn't really stream all that much, and they would keep a lot of things in IRC, and those days were definitely something that they remember very dearly to them for sure.
Mhm.
But I just know that I've kind of been following them for a while. And in 2015, when I first picked up Ratchet 3, there was basically a Ratchet's, this is back when you use Skype, This is
Yeah. Yeah.
these are some old days. So
Yeah.
we were on Skype, and this was the Ratchet and Clank community at the time. This was just a Skype group of like 15, 18 people. And when the community essentially kind of gained a bigger following, when Raikaru and Vortex and I started running, the community kind of split into two. And I don't know if any of the other runners that you've interviewed before here have mentioned it, but it kind of split into the Ratchet and Clank community and the Chillest Boys, which is basically Chillest Boys. The Chillest Boys was basically just a lot of the people that don't really run anymore. So I'll just like tell you.
Mhm.
Chillest Boys consist of, it's a Discord server we've had for years now. It's Ticeman, Cypress, Zem, Slaughter, Skritler, who's into the Nexus runner. Yoshi Pro, you might know him from Celeste or something else or something like
Name
that.
sounds
He was an
familiar. Yeah.
early Celeste champion. And we've got Nuka, Goofy, Jack 3 world record holder, also ran Ratchet 2. Then Skits, who was a top 3 Ratchet 1 player. Insomniac Nintendo, who was also an early record holder, I think, in Ratchet 1. I don't know if he had the record. He definitely, I think he has the fastest PS2 time, is the thing.
Yeah,
No, I
something
do,
like that.
but he
I
had
don't
it
know.
before me. Then Vortex, Cinna, who found Cineflips, and then Maxis, who's the person that found the Walloper Tech. So it's
Gotcha.
basically just a bunch of old runners, and then a few others that are just kind of our friends. But that's like the core.
Gotcha.
And basically, we don't really, we just still keep in touch, and we don't really talk about Rack all that much in the server. And really, it's kind of like a nostalgic kind of group to me because these guys have helped me through a lot, like just uh outside of just like the game and stuff like that. Like we're all such different people. I can't even begin to express how different we all are. Like, how our brains are screwed together and how we view the game, how just how we view life, uh and like I can't even begin to compare how different me, Nuka, and Slaughter are, for example. We're completely different people. But regardless of all of that, we've still stuck together, and who knows, like maybe one day, one of these guys that haven't ran for a while will come back and see something like that. I know Cypress has kind of expressed interest over the past year that he wants to come back and wants to do well. So maybe we'll see some sort of renaissance of the Chills boys coming back to Rack 1 of some kind.
There you go.
I know if everyone else does, I might jump along the train. Who knows? But
I
yeah,
gotcha.
the guys just mean a lot to me for sure. We've stuck together for like 4 or 5 years.
Hell yeah, man. That's family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I definitely know the feeling. Like I have a couple of people that I've met through speedrunning, and we have our own little. I would say it's our general stream community, but we're kind of separated from the main community that we started with. But yeah, I get the feeling. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
That also explains why I couldn't find half of y'all in the Rack Discord.
Yeah, because we're just in the Chills boys.
And the
It's just
Chillest
it.
Boys. Actually, nothing but Ticeman was like, yo, you should check out the Chillest Boys episode 1 about Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, that's really funny. Yeah, that was a mess. But we just basically try to do a podcast, and we cannot get everyone together to try and do another episode. But we were just trying to. I think this video is just going to basically be a better episode 1. Because we try to go over like some of the early days of Rack 1, and we try to talk about like what really went behind like anything like that. Because a lot of the current runners don't really know a lot about Slaughter or Nuka or Cypress or things like that. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think that's not that they're interested. I think it's the fact that I feel like if they ask them about, how was it like in the old days of this and that, maybe they feel like they're bothering them, and I kind of understand it as well. And as well as like they don't really want to ask about the history and things like that because like I guess it's just kind of awkward to ask about that sort of thing if you're not really into the whole scheme of the community. And I remember feeling a little bit. This might just be me being a bit paranoid, but I remember when I was, dominant around, late 2017, when I first got the record back and I pushed the record all the way down to 19. I felt a bit sort of distant from the community in a sense because I felt like people maybe subconsciously didn't like this may have just been my my paranoia, but I felt like people didn't really want me to get the record. And I understand that because I know when I see someone get the record for like the 15th time, I usually want someone else to get it because competition's healthy and all that stuff. But I really just at the time wanted to push the record, and I got some people that didn't really like me at the time for sure for that reason. And I understand it. Like you want to see different people, but it also kind of led me to kind of fall back on the Chillest Boys a lot more than the actual community that was trying to push the game and stuff like that. And it was basically just me being like kind of sandwiched between like because I felt like at the time when I was in the community, people weren't very good at talking about things that weren't the game because a lot of people were a lot younger than me. And so like they were brand new, and whenever you're brand new to speedrunning, your mind's fixated on like new time save, splits, golds, you get this whole world of speedrunning like exposed to you sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's very overwhelming. For sure. And all these people that I knew from back in the day have kind of come and went, and they understand that, I'm just, trying to just beat a video game fast, and I don't always want to talk about the game and things like that. Like it's good to keep a healthy balance between your life and what you're talking about. Because if you end up talking too much about the game, you'll end up having dreams about the game and you'll burn yourself out faster and things like that,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Speedrunners are people too.
Exactly.
I think they kind of like a celebrity culture because I mean you're a pretty popular guy,
I definitely was when I ran Rec 1. Not so much anymore, but that's mostly just because I follow my heart. I want to
There you
run
go.
whatever I want to run, whatever I want to run, and not everyone is a fan of that. But people
That's
really
right.
liked Rec 1 at the time.
That's right. Fuck the haters. All right. Follow your dreams.
That's what I'm doing.
That's right. That's
what I'm
right.
doing.
Okay.
That's basically it, I think.
All right. I think I think that's all I got for you, or that's all the questions I have for you.
I hope my like tone like throughout this whole thing was good because I was really trying to like make it more of a story building kind of thing.
Mhm.
If you ever like, I'm actually serious about this. Like, if there's anything that you're in editing and you're like, ah, man, I wish he explained it in this certain way, I'm totally down to do a retake or something like that, or
Okay.
anything like that. Even if it's like less authentic, like I'm totally down to do it. Just bug me. I want the video to be as good as possible because I've never been featured in a world record like video, and considering all the games I've done, like I don't know, maybe I'm selfish, but I feel like I deserve to be in one kind of thing. Like I've done like 20 games over the course of like 7 years, and I've never been in one. So it's like, finally they picked a game that I played, and it's like, wow. So I just feel really happy that you picked Rack 1 and G Plus.
Hell yeah, dude. No, for real, for sure. If I get to a spot, I'm like, man, I really wish I had a runner that would explain something. I'd be like, okay, I'll get Ricky on the line. We'll sit down and we'll record something.
Yeah, sounds good.
And to the other point you said, one of the things that I think is kind of unfortunate about Salt is that there's so many good games out there that I'm pretty sure he's never going to touch.
Yeah.
Mainly because one, he's just one guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
are you a team?
I'm a team. Yeah, I got like 2 or 3 people.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I got you can see on the side, I got CJ. CJ's my editor. And CJitsallGewd up on top. So then he and I usually work together on most of the stuff, and like we kind of proofread scripts and stuff together. But usually I kind of do all the research, and I do all the interviews, and then I write the script, and then I do the voiceover, and I just hand it all to him. I'm like, all right, now take it away. So Squid does our music. So he usually does like remixes and stuff like that, or originals for title tracks and stuff like that. So he's part of my team, and I also got a production assistant guy who does like
Squidward. Doesn't he run
transcripts.
Mario 64?
What's up?
Doesn't he run Mario 64?
Squid?
Yeah, Squidward.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
he
he's
does.
a SM64 boy.
Yep, I've seen him in Punk's chat. That's why I recognize him.
Yep,
That's pretty cool.
the man, the myth, the bird.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool. You've got a team and stuff for this. That's really sick. I guess I know of a like I guess is it wrong for me to, load you with a few games that I feel like could be potentially good? Because I genuinely think there are games Salt will never do, and they are they're good. Like Mirror's Edge.
Ooh, okay.
Man, that game is filled with good stuff. I can't even begin to describe Mirror's Edge.
I've seen some runs of it. I know it's super sick.
Yeah. Mirror's Edge is so good. Like there's so much to it.
Mhm.
In fact, I've been wanting to do a video for a while. Maybe you could do it instead, even if you want. And I would just like help you like figure out the research and stuff. I made a video like kind of the intro to it, where basically the old era of Mirror's Edge is like coming to an end in a sense. Because I'll just link you this. Back in the day, there was 3 time trial masters called Izzyfly, Bastoom, and Adrenalize. All 3 of them, funny enough, have like really bad English and didn't communicate with the community very much because they were around in 2010, which is like 2 years after the game came out. 2010, 2011, 2012. And they had all the chapter records, all the time trial records. They had everything. Now in 2019, there's only 1 record left standing, and it's only by Izzyfly. So it's like kind of a build-up in a sense that the only time trial record now left is by one of the old gods. And I think like I really wanted to try and build a video around this. Like it doesn't have to be very long. It can be like 10, 15 minutes. But I've really thought about it. But I don't really enjoy making videos all that much anymore.
Right.
I do them from time to time, but like I make them too ambitious, and I give up a lot. Like I give up early a lot of the time.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Okay, so Mirror's Edge. Did you have any other ones that you want to load onto me?
Oh yeah, yeah, Mirror's Edge. So time trials and any percent could both make for a separate good video. You could just touch any percent if you want, because there's enough food in that already. Let's think. Jack 3 any percent might be a bit the selfish thing because I'm in it a lot. But in terms of the route, like in terms of something that's changed route wise, it's basically like an Ocarina of Time, I'd say, where like, first you go to the temple and then you find out you can skip the temple, then you get the light arrows, then you find out you can skip the light arrows.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing with this, where it's like you have to do this mission. Oh, you can skip that mission now. And so it's like the thread gets shorter and shorter, so to say. Let me try and think of other ones. I don't know if he'll ever tackle Undertale. Undertale is probably one that could work really well.
I hadn't even thought about Undertale.
Neutral, I think, would work really well. That's probably one he might do, but I don't think. I'm specifically like trying to beat around the bush of things he wouldn't do, because he's probably got things stored up. But I think he really likes Mario Kart videos in general.
Yeah, but I think he said he's kind of done with Mario Kart for now. He did like 3 in a row. I was like, oh my gosh.
Right.
We're trying to get on Banjo before he thinks about it.
Oh, you want to get on Banjo?
Yeah, that's our next video.
Yeah. Banjo's a good call for sure. A Hat in Time is definitely a good call, I think. A Hat in Time has had a lot of different people, a lot of different routes, and different patches as well. So it's like people can start explaining what like patches, and there was also some controversies and stuff that went over. So I think that's kind of interesting to cover.
Okay.
San Andreas is a super popular game. Just in sheer popularity, I think that game is like everyone knows of it, knows quotes from it, and just it would be pretty easy and relatable. I don't know No, there's been a Paper Mario video. There definitely has.
Yeah, the TTYD. Mario did one.
Yeah, he did. Has there ever been a Super Monkey Ball video?
That's on our list.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's good. I guess I was gonna say Earthbound, but that might just be like a personal favorite of mine. Any Spyro game would work really well. I think.
Spyro's also on our list.
Yeah.
I'm kind of torn about Spyro. I remember the first one's like the most popular, right?
Yeah, I think I know what you should pick though.
Uh,
I think it should probably be 2 any %, and you might be like, well, it's only 8 minutes long. How can I make a video about that?
wasn't
Well,
it like 13 Talismans or something?
It was called any % before, and then it's split into 14 Talisman,
Yeah.
and which is old any %, and now new any %.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
the grand holy, the holy grail of was trying to find gulp skip for the longest time to skip the 14 Talisman requirement,
Mhm.
which Tuval then found. So that one could work if you want.
I think that was the one I was looking into the most. Because if I'm being honest, I've seen Spyro 1 and isn't it just running around?
Most of Spyro 1 is optimization, yeah. Like the problem is there's every world is separated into like big like world load zones, and you need to talk to a balloonist every time. And to get to the next world, you need requirements. And to the final world, you need 6,000 gems, and that's never going to change. You will always need 6,000 gems for the
Yeah.
final world.
I
And
feel like I've watched it.
120%, it's just running around 100%ing the game, getting really good movement, optimizing things.
Yeah,
And
I thought
there's
I remember
not too
watching
much
it.
meat.
I was kind of bored. Yeah.
Yeah, not too much meat, I would say.
But yeah, I'll look into two more. I think that's still on my list of things. Is that because I think 3 is pretty short, mainly because they found a way to skip to the final boss like really early.
100 Egg became any %, yeah, as well. That one's not too bad either. Jack and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy as well. This isn't a game I've been very active in at all. I've never had the record in this, but I can tell you right now, this is another instance of Mario 64 where we went from 74 cells to 45 to 24 to 7. So that could make for a good one. Yeah, the progression's really good on that one for sure.
You said Precursor Legacy, is that what it's called?
It's just Jack won a lot of the time. Jack and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. And I'm super known in this community. Everyone knows me, and I can hook you up with the best interviews for sure. That would probably make for a really good video. There's some good storytellers in there, 100%. But I sent it to Craig. Oops. There you go. I sent it to the bot. Yeah, but that's about it. That's all I got to load on you, I guess.
Okay, cool deal. I'll definitely add these to the list. We have a couple of things, and we don't have. Well, actually, we're in a really weird time where normally we were like kind of like, okay, well, once we're finished with this video, we'll like start looking into the next one. But this is the first time where we had 3 videos lined up. I talked to Zem at SGQ. We also talked to Prof Polly in the banjo community. And so we have a whole bunch of people in both those communities who are like, let's do the video. And then also I played Melee with a guy named Visuals. And then I only found out later when I tried to look him up that he's the Hollow Knight world record holder.
Yeah.
And I talked to him. And I'm like,
Visuals is really good at what he does.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, do you want to make a Hollow Knight video? And he's like, absolutely. And so I was like, hell yeah, dude. Melee bringing people together.
Hollow Knight's the third?
Hollow Knight's the next one. It's probably going to come out in October.
Yeah. That's really good. That's a great game for sure. Like, I don't know a lot about it, but I just know there's a lot of players. And it would probably make for a really good video for sure.
I'm excited about it, and he's excited about it too, so that makes me more excited.
Yeah. Again, I have a lot of connections, I would say, just because I've been in the scene for like a while. So if you ever like get into any of the if there's any game that you see on my leaderboard like that I've ran and you want to do any coverage on it or anything like that, just ask me who would make for a good interview or something like that, and I'll just hit you up. Like I know PlayStation Nation as well. Like if you want to anything PlayStation, I got you. But even outside of that, I still know people from the Elite, for example, GoldenEye.
Gotcha.
And stuff like that. So I'll gladly help you out.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
I guess that's all.
Okay, man. I'll let you go. I'll let you go to bed.
Yep. Take care, man. Thank you again.
All right. My pleasure.